Yesterday, a man in Madrid fell to his knees and wept. Not because someone died, not because someone was born, because a different man, whom he has never met and never will, kicked a ball into a net in New Jersey. Spain beat Argentina, 1-0, and across the entire planet, in bars, in living rooms, in stadiums, in refugee camps, on phones held up in the dark, something like 4 billion people were watching, half of everyone alive. Grown adults cried, strangers hugged strangers, entire nations stopped, actually stopped, offices empty, streets silent, to watch 22 men they will never speak to chase a leather sphere around a field of grass. And I want you to sit with how genuinely insane that is. Nobody's life got better. No disease was cured. No one was fed. A ball went into a net, and a significant fraction of the human species experienced real, physical, chest-tightening emotion about it. Joy. Grief. As if it mattered. As if it mattered enormously. So here is the question this whole thing is really about. Not who won. Why do you care? Why does a ball, in a net, kicked by a stranger, make you, a rational adult, feel something in your actual body? And here's the uncomfortable part, the part we're going to spend the next half hour pulling apart. The answer is not what you think it is. Because that feeling you had, that swell of "we did it," that ache of "we lost," the World Cup didn't happen for you. It happened to you. Let's get one thing out of the way, because it's the trapdoor everyone falls through. You think you love the game, the skill, the tactics, the beauty of it. And sure, football is a genuinely elegant sport. A game so simple a toddler and a billionaire understand it identically. Ball goes in net. Good. But be honest with yourself for 1 second. If Spain and Argentina had played that exact match, same skill, same drama, same last-minute goal, but the players wore no flags, represented nobody, and it was just 22 anonymous athletes hired for the afternoon, would 4 billion people have watched? Would the man in Madrid have wept? No, of course not. Because the ball is not the point. The ball has never been the point. The ball is a prop, a beautiful, spinning, perfectly designed prop in service of the thing that actually moves you, which is that those 11 men in red were, somehow, yours. They carried your name, your flag, your tribe, and the 11 men in blue and white were theirs. Strip the flags off, and it's exercise. Bolt the flags on, and it's war. A war you're allowed to enjoy. So if the game isn't the thing, what is? To answer that, we have to go back, way back, long before football, long before Spain, before Argentina, before nations existed at all. We have to go back to the campfire. Because the reason you cried at a ball was installed in you 100,000 years ago. For almost the entire existence of our species, a human being lived and died inside a group of maybe 150 people. Your tribe. That was your whole world. Everyone you would ever love, trust, fight, or fear. All of them, faces you knew. And in that world, one skill mattered more than almost any other. Telling us from them. Your tribe would share food with you, protect you, raise your children. The other tribe, over the ridge, might kill you and take everything. So evolution wired into you, deep and fast and below all conscious thought, a machine for sorting the world into 2 boxes, us and them. This machine is not subtle, and it is not polite. It fires instantly. Give it the flimsiest excuse, any excuse, and it will split a room down the middle. Psychologists have proven this in the lab over and over. Take total strangers, divide them by a coin flip. Tell one half they're the red group and the other the blue group. Meaningless, random, decided seconds ago. And within minutes, people start favoring their own group, trusting them more, giving them more. Over a color, assigned by a coin. That is the machine. It came pre-installed. You did not choose it, you cannot uninstall it, and it is running right now. And here's our problem. We built a world of 8 billion strangers, cities, nations, a whole planet of them, and we're still running Stone Age tribal software designed for a village of 150. The software is desperate for a tribe. It is aching to belong to something. And football hands it one, wrapped in a flag, wearing matching colors, 11 warriors deep. The machine doesn't stand a chance. So let's talk about the jersey, because the jersey is doing something sneaky. When you pull on your team's colors, or even just watch them, psychologists have a name for what happens. It's called social identity. A chunk of who you are, your actual sense of self, quietly attaches itself to the group. The team stops being something you watch and becomes something you are. "I'm a Spain fan" sits in the same drawer of your identity as your name, your job, your family. And once the team is you, everything changes. Their wins are your wins. Their enemies are your enemies. A stranger in the opposing jersey, a person who has done nothing to you, who probably has the same job and the same worries and the same aching feet as you, becomes, for 90 minutes, the other tribe, over the ridge, to be defeated. And the lines this machine draws are gloriously arbitrary. Be born on one side of a river, you'll scream for one flag your whole life. Be born 5 miles the other way, you'd scream with exactly equal passion for the flag you now consider the enemy. Same person, same soul, different river. Nobody chooses their tribe. You were issued yours at birth, like a library card you can never return. And yet, and this matters, it doesn't feel arbitrary from the inside. From the inside, it feels like the most natural loyalty in the world. It feels like love. Because that's exactly what the machine is for. It was never about the river. It was about having a side. Here's my favorite tell, the one word that gives the whole game away. Listen to any fan after a win. They don't say they won. They say, we won. We. You. On the couch, holding a snack. We. You didn't train. You didn't run. You have never met these men. Your entire contribution to the victory was sitting down and experiencing a beverage. And yet, we won. It feels completely, unarguably true. Psychologists call this basking in reflected glory. And it is not just a figure of speech, it is chemical. When your team wins, studies find the testosterone levels of male fans actually rise, as if they themselves had triumphed, had fought, had won the mate and the mammoth. Your body does not fully understand that you were on the couch. Your body thinks you were on the field. Your ancient tribal wiring cashed the check. And the flip side is just as real. When the team loses, fans report genuine grief, depression, a dip in the very same hormones. They describe it, and they mean it, as a kind of mourning over a game, over strangers. But notice something. Watch the pronoun flip. When the team wins, it's we won. When the team loses, it's they lost. Suddenly, it's they. The glory is ours. The failure is theirs. The self protecting itself, one pronoun at a time. You are not a neutral observer of this game. You never were. Now, I've been describing this like it's a bug, a glitch, ancient wiring being exploited. And it is. But I don't want you to think it's only that, because the same machine that makes tribalism dangerous also does something genuinely, achingly beautiful. Think about what a stadium actually is. 70,000 strangers, different jobs, different languages, different lives, who, for 90 minutes, want the exact same thing at the exact same moment with their whole hearts. They rise together. They gasp together. When the goal goes in, 70,000 people who have never met embrace, weeping, screaming, alive, as one. Where else does that happen? In a lonely world, a world of 8 billion strangers, of people who report feeling more isolated than any humans in history, football hands you, for an afternoon, a tribe. 150 faces scaled up to 70,000, to 4 billion. A campfire the size of the planet. And the research backs this up plainly. People with strong team loyalty report less loneliness, more belonging, higher self-esteem, more trust in strangers. The tribe is medicine. Ridiculous, ball-chasing medicine, but medicine. So this is the thing we have to hold in both hands. The very same wiring that lets 70,000 strangers cry with joy as one is the wiring that, when it curdles, lets 2 nations cry for blood. And that is not a hypothetical. It has happened, over a football match. Let me tell you about the summer the game became a war. Here's a way to think about football that will ruin it slightly, and I apologize in advance. For most of human history, when one tribe's us collided with another tribe's them, the result was violence. That's what the machine is for. Rally the group, fear the outsider, win the ground. Blood was the release valve. And then, slowly, cleverly, humans invented something extraordinary. A way to feel all of that. The tribal fury, the us versus them, the surge of collective aggression, without the corpses. A container, a ritual, a game. Football is, in a very real sense, war with the killing removed. 2 tribes, colors flying, a field of battle, a crowd screaming for the destruction of the enemy. And at the end, the losers go home alive, and everyone gets a beer. It is the most beautiful excuse for tribalism ever invented. A pressure valve for the most dangerous instinct we carry. When it works, it's civilization's greatest magic trick. Taking the emotion that starts wars and spending it on a ball. But a pressure valve only works as long as the pressure stays inside. And sometimes, the container cracks. 1969, 2 small, poor Central American neighbors, El Salvador and Honduras. They'd been quietly hating each other for a century, over land, over migration, over hundreds of thousands of Salvadorans who'd crossed the border looking for work. Real grievances, old wounds, the kind of thing that simmers for generations. And then they drew each other in a World Cup qualifier. 3 matches to decide who'd go to the tournament. The first game, in Honduras, the home fans kept the Salvadoran team awake all night outside their hotel. Honduras won. Salvadoran fans, enraged, reportedly set fire to things. The second game, in El Salvador, now the Honduran team got the sleepless night treatment, the crowd screaming outside. Riots, beatings, deaths. Fans died. The flags of each country burned in the other's stadium. By the time it was over, the 2 nations had cut diplomatic ties. And on July 14, 1969, El Salvador's Air Force, flying converted civilian planes with bombs shoved out the doors by hand, attacked Honduras. It's remembered as the Football War, the 100 Hours War. 4 days, thousands dead, 300,000 people displaced. Now, to be fair and clear, the football didn't cause the war. The land and the migration and the poverty caused the war. The football was the spark. The match dropped on tinder that was already soaked. But that's exactly the point. Football took a century of tribal pressure and gave it a night, a place, and a flag to rally around. The container didn't just crack. It detonated. Which taught every government on earth a lesson they have never, ever forgotten. This game is not a game. It's power. Because here's what nations realized, watching their people weep and rage over 11 men in matching shirts. Football is national identity on tap. Think about how hard it normally is to make millions of strangers feel like one people. You need shared history, language, myth, monuments, sometimes a war. It takes centuries. Or you can put 11 of them in the national colors on a Tuesday and have the entire country feeling like a single beating heart by sundown. A goal for the national team is a shortcut straight into the collective chest. When your country scores, strangers 1,000 miles away, people you'd never agree with about anything, different politics, different lives, leap up screaming the same joy, in the same instant, wearing the same flag. For 90 minutes, a fractured nation of millions becomes, genuinely, a tribe again. No politician can do that. No anthem, no speech, no holiday comes close. 11 people and a ball can unify a country faster and deeper than an entire government. And any time you find a force that can move millions of hearts as one, with that kind of speed and that little effort, you can be absolutely certain that the powerful will come to own it. And they did. They built an organization to hold it. An organization that is now, by one striking measure, bigger than the United Nations. It's called FIFA, the body that runs world football. And most people picture it as, I don't know, a sports committee, some blazers, a trophy in a cabinet. The United Nations has 193 member states. FIFA has 211. More nations belong to FIFA than belong to the UN. There are places on Earth that field a football team but don't hold a seat at the table of nations. More of the world recognizes the authority of football than recognizes the authority of world government. Let that reframe the thing in your hand. FIFA sits on top of the single most powerful emotional trigger our species owns, the tribal instinct, weaponized into joy, distributed to 4 billion people at once. It can make half the planet stop breathing at the same instant. It can make a country delirious or heartbroken on command. It commands more attention, more devotion, and arguably more genuine feeling than any religion, any army, any government alive. It is quite possibly the most powerful geopolitical instrument ever assembled. And it was built, almost by accident, out of a ball and a net and 100,000 years of Stone Age wiring. So now ask the obvious question. If you controlled the one machine that can move 4 billion hearts as one, what would you sell with it? And who would come knocking to buy? This is the part where we cash in the title. Because the World Cup is not free. Somebody pays billions to host it, billions to sponsor it, billions to broadcast it. And people do not spend billions for your feelings. They spend billions because of your feelings. Follow the money and the motive, and the audience, you, turn out to be not the customer, but the product being delivered. Your attention, 4 billion pairs of eyes locked on one screen, is the most valuable thing on the planet for a month. Sponsors rent your tribal joy and staple their logo to it, so that a fizzy drink or a phone gets tangled up forever in the best moment of your year. And then there's the bigger game. Critics have a sharp word for it: sports washing. The argument goes like this. A nation or a regime with an image problem hosts the tournament, spends lavishly, throws the greatest party on earth, and lets the joy you feel wash back onto them. You associate the warmth, the spectacle, the belonging with the host. Reputation, laundered through your happiness. Now, in fairness, the host nations tell a very different story. They call it nation building, pride, opening their doors to the world, earning a place on the global stage. And honestly, both things can be true at once. That's what makes it work. The most effective soft power doesn't feel like power. It feels like a party you were lucky to be invited to. But strip it all back, and the shape is undeniable. The tournament moves your emotions to serve their goals. The World Cup didn't happen for you. You were what made it worth happening. So let's put the whole machine together. Let's look at the exploit, start to finish. 100,000 years ago, evolution installed a program in you. Find your tribe, love your tribe, fear the other. It was for survival. It was never turned off. It's still running in a world it was never designed for. A world of nations and strangers and screens. Football found the exploit. It reaches straight past your reason, past your modern self, and it pushes the ancient button. Here is your tribe, the colors. Here is the enemy, the other colors. Here is the battle, but nobody dies, so you're allowed to want it with your whole chest. And your body, your beautiful, gullible, Stone Age body, believes every second of it. Surges the hormones, says we, weeps. You did not decide to care about the World Cup. The caring was triggered in you by machinery older than language, machinery you can feel but cannot switch off. And a small number of organizations, sponsors, and states have learned, with real precision, how to press that button on a planetary scale, and how to profit when it fires. That is the cynical truth of it. The game is not innocent. Your tears were, in a sense, engineered, harvested. And yet, I don't think that's where this ends. Because there's one thing the cynicism can't explain away. The tears were still real. Here's what I keep coming back to. Yes, it's an exploit. Yes, the button was ancient, and the people pressing it were not always kind. Yes, the World Cup didn't happen for you. And none of that made the feeling fake. When 4 billion people watched the same ball roll toward the same net and inhaled at the same instant, that was, for one strange moment, the closest our species has ever come to feeling like a single tribe. Not Spain, not Argentina, humans. All watching the same fire, holding the same breath, caring, absurdly, uselessly, magnificently, about the same small thing at the same small time. We are a species that evolved to love a group of 150 and fear everyone else. And we took that same wiring, the wiring that starts wars, and we built out of it a ritual where a quarter of the planet points its heart in the same direction and, for the most part, nobody has to die. That's not nothing. That might be one of the more hopeful things we do. So watch the game. Wear the colors. Scream we. I'm not here to take it from you. It's one of the realest feelings you'll ever have. Just know what you're feeling. Know the button. Know whose hand is near it. Enjoy the fire, but see the wiring underneath it. Because tomorrow, the stadium empties. The flags come down. The strangers who were, for 90 minutes, your family, become strangers again. And the ancient machine inside you goes quiet, waiting, patient, for the next flag to tell it who we are. It won't wait long. Watch how a fan's pronouns change with the score. After a win, it's almost always we won. The fan folds themselves into the team's glory. After a loss, the very same fan will overwhelmingly switch to they lost, quietly cutting themselves loose from the failure. Researchers have measured this. It's called, wonderfully, cutting off reflected failure. So the next time your team wins and you say, we, remember, some part of you has already decided that if they'd lost, it would have been them. Your loyalty is real. It is also, apparently, keeping the receipts. Sleep well.